Hello and welcome to Q Reviews. I'm your host Quantum, and this week I wanted to do things a little bit different. I wanted to talk about this little known game called LA Noire. Rockstar's LA Noire places you in direct control of police officer Cole Phelps. Through careful examination of the crime scene evidence and skillful interrogations, Phelps always gets his man. You are quickly promoted to the ranks of the Los Angeles Police Department, going from walking the streets as a simple beat cop to taking down the city's drug lords as a vice detective. Now, when I heard the concept of this game, Rockstar had me sold. I was so excited for it. I was there for the midnight launch of this. But now, after finally being able to play it through, how come I feel like I was just ripped off? LA Noire feels like a Rockstar-made game, meaning that when you're moving around the world in this game, it feels like you're controlling a tank rather than a person. For some brilliant reason, the developers decided to use the trigger button to make it so your character moves forward, rather than just hitting the left analog stick forward. The left analog stick only turns your character to the left or the right, while the right stick only controls the camera, but that one has the full range of motion that the analog sticks were designed for. The game does feel a lot better, however, when you're behind the wheel of a car. It's just once this happens, you realize that all the other drivers on the road have horrible AIs. You could be chasing down a criminal at 100 miles per hour while your sirens are blasting, and people still won't get out of your way. Look out! Investigation and interrogations are the meat of LA Noire's gameplay. If you're not doing one thing, you're probably doing the other. Investigating a crime scene is handled very competently by Rockstar. Instead of going the Resident Evil style where items of importance will either twinkle in the background or be slightly discolored to help it stand out a bit more, LA Noire relies more on musical cues to help would-be detectives find the clues that they're missing.
It's all over the floor. Heavy for an empty cup.
And if you feel your eye for detail is on par with that of Sherlock Holmes, you could just turn off the investigation music for a more raw experience. Even though this game does have some action segments in it, where you'll have the chance to chase fleeing criminals either by foot or by car, or have very brief shootouts with the mob, it's in the interrogation sequences where most of this game's action takes place. If you thought this was negative, here's where things really get negative. Rockstar spent a ridiculous amount of money and time on facial animations in this game. And they're good. They're very good. For the most part. The idea behind all this detail was that while you're interrogating someone, you can watch their face and see if the statement that they just gave was true or not. That's a fine idea, but there's just one problem. Let me show you what I was looking at for 90% of the time throughout all my interrogations.
We have you for the hopping and resisting arrest. Tell us about the numbers if you want our help.
Look, the numbers are the white man's tax on poor folk. All right, now what else you want to know?
Exactly! I could not care less about a person's facial expressions because the real truth is in the evidence! You'll spend more time rereading a person's last statement and checking against their evidence than actually carefully looking at a person's face. It's just novelty. Throughout the entirety of this game, I can only think of one time. The one time I had to actually examine a person's face and the info she gave up was useless because I already knew it. Can you believe that people actually praise this game about the enormous amount of conversation trees that you can go down? Let me show you the exact moment that I realized this game is overhyped mediocrity. It was during the case entitled The Golden Butterfly. A woman's dead body has turned up in a local park, and after a quick look around the crime scene, you manage to ascertain her name and address. So you head out to tell her husband the bad news, as well as get his alibi. However, once at the house, you find out that the husband, Hugo Moeller, isn't home, but the daughter is. And without asking for any identification of any kind, the girl just lets the two strange men into her house. Oh yeah, for a quick side note, This game is filled with varying levels of acting. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Like this girl here, Michelle. You tell her that her mother's dead, and she starts crying. Yeah, that's natural. Anyone would cry from that. But right after that, Phelps tells her to man up, and she looks fine. After a quick illegal search, since they don't have a warrant for this, nor did they even ask her if they could just look around the house real quick, they sit down with Michelle and ask her a few questions. Here's the question that made me stop playing this game for a while.
When did you last see your mother?
Yesterday afternoon. I went to a dance at Belmont High. Mommy was supposed to pick me up, but she didn't show.
So what did you do then?
I was upset. Daddy came instead.
And did he come and get you?
Of course. Some boys offered me a ride home, but that's not the right thing to do.
So you were hanging around the school for quite a while. What happened with your father?
I don't know. I called and finally he answered. He came straight away then.
Alright, I got an X on that, meaning that she wasn't lying, so let's do this again. Let's quickly knock on the door, do our legal search for the 3 clues, tell the girl that her mom is dead, now let's ask it again. But this time, let's go with doubt, because I know she's holding something back.
So you were hanging around the school for quite a while. What happened with your father?
I don't know. I called and finally he answered. He came straight away then.
Did she just say the same thing over again?
I called and finally he answered. He came straight away then.
Yes, she did. And she gave me the same extra clue, too. What the fuck? And the stupidity of this game doesn't just end there. Later on, in this same mission, they take the victim's husband, Hugo Muller, back to police headquarters for further questioning. The victim was strangled with a specific type of rope, and since Hugo was once in the army, they ask him if he was ever trained to kill. I know that's a dumb question, but wait till you hear his answer.
For argument's sake, what type of rope would you use?
If I had to, I would use a triple braid. Less flex, easier to control.
Why? Why the hell would you answer a question like this? It just doesn't make any sense. Noire is a game filled with loads of potential, but very poor execution. I know some of you are asking, what about the game's story? All I have to say is, what story? Each case is its own self-contained story arc, but they can barely be classified as stories, they're more like briefings, because you will never get the full details about anything. I don't want to hear anything about the Black Dahlia storyline, because that was just garbage! It was crammed in at the last minute and did not connect with anything from any of the previous investigations. Had you not solved the murders as they went down and just been open cases, that might have made more sense. But at the last minute saying, oh, we put away the wrong people even though we had eyewitnesses and evidence saying otherwise, please, just screw off. I want to hear from you guys. What did you like or dislike about this game? Once again, my name is Quantum and I'll check you out later.